Hello, welcome to Mask Live. We are here today with Dr. Shivali Gandhi, our expert, and we are so happy to have any of you who are out there joining us today on Mask Live. Just know that we do these on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis. We have an expert come in and we invite you to join in and ask the expert any questions you have. So throughout, we will be live for the next 15 minutes. And we invite you to give us your specific questions. Today, we're going to be talking about family resiliency. And we have a issue of Mass the Magazine out that also kind of touches on this topic. But today, we're going to dive deeper with Dr. Shivali Gandhi into family resiliency. What is it? How do you get it? Let me just give you a little bit of a background on Dr. Gandhi. She is a licensed psychologist, and she focuses on healing and empowering children and families coping with such issues as anxiety, depression, ADHD, defiant behavior disorders, and post-traumatic stress disorders. Dr. Gandhi is passionate about working with children to prevent and heal mental illness, provide education to the public, and foster change and growth to create a safer world. So we're so excited to have you here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Gandhi also sits on the Mask board, so she is our in-house expert. She writes a section of the magazine titled Making the Grade, where we look at a topic in depth from age appropriately. So Dr. Gandhi looks at what it looks like in preschool, what it looks like in elementary school, what it looks like in middle school, high school, and even college. We give parents conversation starters. We give them things, constructive things that they can do to help with a specific topic. So let's get back into family resiliency. So tell me, like, this is a big topic that people are talking about, this family resiliency, but really, what is it?
It's a great question. It's a multifaceted question. Family resilience, just like resilience, is really the collective ability of a family to bounce back, to adapt, to deal with adversity, not from a Pollyanna perspective, but to accept the adversity, the circumstances, and then problem solve together in a supportive way where they're communicating clearly, they are accepting the emotional reactions, and then they're moving through that. So it definitely is the power of connection, relationship in a way that helps them bounce back.
So problem solving together.
Yes, for sure.
Interesting. So I think the first thing that comes to mind for me is, we all think we can handle everything on our own. So I guess maybe realizing that maybe admitting that we need help is a big part of this.
A big part of this is not just admitting you need help, asking for help, and then accepting it when it's offered.
That's not so easy to do.
Not easy to
I think
do.
our culture and society tells us differently, right?
Yes.
But years ago, way back when, maybe we all did that more collectively than we do today.
Having that collective relationship, sense of community, sense of belonging to the community, and a sense of role and purpose. So having something that you know that you contribute, right? Not just individually, but as a family, you're also contributing. And the power of that and how it makes you feel, how it makes your children feel, that strength really then helps in terms of knowing that you can help, and then it also helps you ask and accept for help.
Right. So, what kind of things build resiliency in a family? Like, what kind of things do families really have to face to build resiliency?
That's another really good question, because every family is so unique and different, right? Whatever resiliency factors already exist, it's really important to be able to connect to those and identify those, right?
Okay.
Again, relationships, healthy, strong, supportive, appropriate receptive relationships that where both parties understand um, communication, roles, where the power is, who gets to make decisions, safety, all of those things, right? Good boundaries, healthy boundaries. But it all really comes down to that secure attachment and having the ability to be an attachment figure for your child and having your child then be able to count on you for consistent responses that really emphasize love, hope, security, and reciprocity, right? Responding consistently so that it really starts with attachment, relationship, and that connection you have with your partner, your spouse, your child, whoever it is that you identify as your family.
Okay. So there is maybe a leader or a guidance, someone who's providing guidance and structure, but you need to be listening to the other members of your family and have that special connection where you can understand their wants, needs, and perhaps work together.
Absolutely. And what you said was really important, that listening, the active listening, the listening with empathy and compassion, listening with an openness and the ability to really accept what is happening with the other person's experiences and not to demean or devalue it.
Right.
Or
Validate feelings.
Yes.
So listen and validate and work
So
together through things.
Yes.
Wow.
So important.
So those are some of the strengths that we really need in a family to build resilience.
Yeah, a sense of purpose, relationship, community, a sense of community, a sense of belonging, healthy family lifestyles, sleep, diet, exercise, but also that other pieces too, and to never forget that resilience rests on social determinants of health and basic needs being met. So safety, shelter, food, clothing, access to health care, access to education, transportation. Resiliency rests when those exist, right? When those are missing, you always have to focus on getting those basic needs met first. Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
Without those basic needs, resiliency it's can exist. It just makes that harder to develop.
Right. And so if we're in a situation where there's trauma as a child, and maybe there's one parent that is absent, or maybe a parent that is not completely open to listening and being that guidance figure, how do you work through that?
That's again another excellent question when it really comes down to the caregiver that is able to be the attachment figure for them to be safe, secure, responsive, protective, right? So, I mean, if there is family adversity, if there is childhood maltreatment, if there is domestic violence, if there is other types of adversity, poverty, bullying, racism, historical trauma, there's so many types of adversity. And if and when those do exist, the identifying the resiliency factors that do exist in the family, that do exist in the child, and in that non-offending or that protective parent or protective caregiver is really important for folks to really try and let's access those, let's identify those, let's pull those out, and let's see how we can leverage those to then continue with or start to develop healing and start to develop healthy relationship skills, start to develop healthy coping skills, frustration tolerance, the ability to deal with failure, determination, perseverance, those characteristics, they exist. And we just have to help families identify it when they're dealing with adversity so that they can then really leverage those.
Makes complete sense. So what about the family that has pretty good structure, basic needs being met, and the parents try to protect and rescue and maybe not let their children fail and maybe perhaps build resiliency skills?
So one of the core resiliency skills is dealing with frustration and failing and dealing with failure. And so for families that do tend to rescue their kids, you don't want to see your kids suffer, especially when you feel like they don't have to. But then they're also not getting a chance to develop those skills to deal with frustration. And then when it comes to then the first time they're having to deal with it independently, they don't have the basics to do it on their own, and then sometimes greater mistakes happen. Addiction, substance use, risky behaviors, or giving up and not having grit and not having the ability to then follow through. So it really is important to, as much as we don't want to ever do this, but being there to support our children, but not interfering, not rescuing them, and letting them deal with failure.
Yeah, I have to say, my husband always says, I learned the most when I failed. So why would I prevent my child from having that same experience?
Exactly.
I have to allow to, especially when the mistakes are small, right? So when they learn from little mistakes or they learn from little failures or whatever it is, that just helps us build and learn and actually increase our self-esteem, doesn't it?
When you know that you can deal with life and whatever it throws at you and roll with it, that is a pretty big self-esteem boost.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else can we do to help kids understand how important resiliency is?
I think, it's always comes down to talking about it early. One of our beliefs at Mask, right, is that we talk about things before they happen, right? We have the 5-year rule, and it's really important to start introducing ideas and introducing topic areas that you're like, oh, we don't have to deal with that until they're, this age, but preparing them by providing them with education, providing them with opportunities, providing them with the ability to start learning, which means having conversations early, frequently, and modeling resilience skills for them. So, dealing with frustration, dealing with failure, and getting back up and bouncing back, adaptability, positive, healthy relationship skills, all those things are so important. So modeling and talking early about it, both of those things are really
And bringing up these topics that are
bringing up
these challenges that maybe perhaps we know they're going to face at some point. Great. Let me just check and see if we have any questions coming in. Let's see. I think we're good at the moment. So when we come back, we're going to talk in more detail. We're just about at our 15 minutes. So we're going to talk in more detail about how we can help kids recognize when they're going through adversity and the benefits of being in an adverse situation that perhaps it makes them stronger to deal with and create family resiliency. We're going to dive deeper into that in the next 15 minutes. You can watch this full episode on the Mask Matters app. It will be available in a few weeks on the Mask Matters app, which is free to download and on the Apple Store and Google Play. And please be sure to look out and be aware of other Mask Live segments that will be coming up. And make sure that you check out Mask the Magazine and Dr. Shivali Gandhi's 10-page segment, that section that deals with all these great topics and how you can talk to your kids age appropriately and how you can help them age appropriately go through different adverse things that happen in their life, and how you can talk to them as they grow for many years to come age appropriately about topics. So thank you for joining us today, and look for this full episode in detail on the Mask Matters app.